Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is another episode of the Championship Roundup, and oh my word guys, in this episode of the Championship Roundup we have a whole load of action to go ahead and talk over. I mean, going into the final weekend of the Championship, we still have so much to play for and so much more that is at stake. Going into the final weekend of the Championship, we've still got 3 sides who could still be relegated. We've still got the title of the Championship to decide, and we've got a whole lot more to talk over as well in this video, guys. So what I would love to know from you guys is, how did your team perform this weekend? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd be very interested to know as to what your viewpoints are on how your team is currently playing. As well as that, what did you guys think was the goal of the weekend and the result of the weekend? I'll be revealing what I thought they were at the end of the video, but I'd be interested to know what you guys had to say. And as well as that, guys, I will include your comments on screen now, so if any of you guys did successfully manage to predict any of the scorelines taking place this weekend, I will include your comment on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did successfully manage to get a prediction correct. This weekend, I managed to get 2 of my score predictions correct. I managed to get the Barnsley against Burton Albion game correct, as well as that, the Blackburn Rovers against Aston Villa match. So I managed to predict 2 of them. Not too bad going from me. Let's get into some of the action. So guys, for our first game to talk over, we had the Friday night kickoff going on between Cardiff and Newcastle, and in the end Newcastle managed to leave with the 2-0 victory over Cardiff. And of course, Newcastle needed to win this match if they were going to have any hopes of actually going ahead and winning the title in the Championship. Of course, this result really put the pressure on Brighton. But talking over how this game went for Newcastle, I mean, it was just 2 moments of absolute quality which won the game for them. I mean, the Atsu free kick in the second half was absolutely sublime, as was the Hayden strike as well. The amount of power he managed to get behind that was absolutely phenomenal. And you know, it has been quite obvious this season that a lot of times this season Newcastle probably haven't had the best game, but their little bits of quality dotted around the pitch really have served them well. And 2 contenders there for goal of the weekend, because they were both fantastic strikes in this game. Cardiff were a little bit unfortunate, of course. They did miss a couple of chances, and they did of course have a goal disallowed as well for a foul in the build-up, which they got a little bit unlucky with that. But overall, Newcastle probably were the better side. Will Newcastle now go on and win the Championship, guys? Let me know down below. Then for our next fixture, we then had Barnsley, who came up against Burton Albion, and in the end this one managed to finish as a 1-1 draw. So this was the first game of the weekend which I successfully managed to predict, and this point now actually secures Burton Albion's Championship status with a game still to play. So first of all, fair play to Burton Albion. They've managed to achieve what they set out to do this season in remaining in the Championship, and to do it with 1 game remaining, considering as well some of the other sides which are down at the bottom of the Championship. You know, you're looking at the likes of Nottingham Forest and Birmingham, who could still go down. The fact that Burton have been able to secure their season in the Championship is absolutely phenomenal. So fair play to Burton. But in the general flow of how this game went, I was predicting it to be a 1-1 draw, because Barnsley, we've seen recently, have had a lot of draws, and it was the same case in this one. Burton, of course, it was quite stereotypical what we can come to imagine Burton will do now in terms of their game plan. They made themselves very resilient in this game and hard to break down. Barnsley managed to get 1-0 up with George Moncur, but Burton loved it up with Luke Varney. And then to our next game, guys, we had a crazy game going on at St Andrews, where Birmingham managed to leave with a 2-0 victory over high flyers Huddersfield. Now, first of all, I think it has to be said, Huddersfield made a lot of changes going into this game. So Huddersfield fans, let me know down below, what do you think of that, making a lot of changes? Would you rather your team be fresh going into the playoffs, or would you rather be going into the playoffs with more of a sense of momentum, really? Let me know down below. I'm quite interested to know what you Huddersfield fans think of all this rotation recently from David Wagner. But fair play to Birmingham City in this game. At the start of this game especially, everything seemed to be going against them. I mean, they got a penalty very early on in this game, which was then missed. They also got a red card with Che Adams, so they were down to 10 men. They've already missed a penalty. You just thought, Birmingham are going to bottle this. They're going to lose this game, and they're going to be dragged into the bottom 3 for the final weekend. But that was not the case, and fair play to Birmingham, because it would have been very easy for them to go from that position and shown that they've been mentally weak from this season and go on and lose this game. That was not the case. Harry Redknapp seems to have installed a bit of confidence in this Birmingham side, perhaps, and of course they managed to get the goal just before half time, and then the Gardner penalty wrapped up. Of course, Birmingham could still go down, and I would love to know from you guys, out of the 3 clubs who could still go down, let me know who do you think's going down in the comments down below. And then to another side who had a massive result this weekend, that was of course Blackburn Rovers. Now, if Blackburn didn't win this game, and of course with the results going other ways and stuff like that, we could have seen Blackburn relegated this weekend, but that was not the case thanks to Danny Graham, who managed to secure the winner after 54 minutes. So this was imperative that Blackburn went ahead and won this match. In the end, they got the job done. It was a little bit of a scrappy game in the end, and I was a little bit disappointed with Aston Villa really in this one. Aston Villa fans, I'd be very interested to know as to what your standpoint is on your manager, Steve Bruce. Do you think he should be doing a little bit better and getting better performances out of the players who he currently has at the club? Let me know down below, because I've seen Villa's season really now seems to be petering away really. They went on a nice bit of form recently, but ever since then they've sort of managed to dip down. Is it just the end of season blues, or are you not really too happy with Steve Bruce? Let me know down below. I'll be very interested to know. Blackburn fans, will you stay up? Let me know down below. And then to a side who looks to be finishing the season with a flourish under Gary Rowett, we had Derby County, who managed to go ahead and secure all 3 points thanks to a 3-1 victory over Wolves. So in this game, it's got to be said really, Derby just were the better side in this game. Wolves, I thought, were very poor in this game. Of course, they weren't helped thanks to the red card for Cavallero after 33 minutes. The reason he did that, I don't know. It was a rush of blood to his head. He got sent off, and really, he left his Wolves side in a really bad situation. Playing at 10 men away to Derby, it just wasn't going to be a good result for Wolves in the end, I think it's fair to say. But Derby County, some of their creative players really seem to be coming to the front in this one. I thought Johnny Russell had an excellent game for them. Brighton had a good game for them. Tom Ince as well. He was creating a lot of chances for them. But in the end, the goal scorers were David Nugent, Johnson and Bryson. And it was a fantastic victory for Derby. They seem to be going into next season with a sense of momentum now. And Derby County, with a couple more additions, could next season be your year under Gary Rowett? Let me know down below. And then for our London derby to talk over, guys, we then had Fulham, who came up against Brentford, and in the end this one actually managed to finish as a 1-1 draw. So fair play to Brentford, you know, for going ahead and sticking it out in this game and for going ahead and getting a point. You know, we've seen recently, especially, we've seen Fulham blow away a lot of sides, especially at home this season. So I don't think we can take anything away from Brentford for going ahead and picking up a point in this game. I think it was quite a good game in the end. Of course, Tom Kearney was a bit unfortunate. He of course did grab the opening goal in the 8th minute, but then also went on to miss a penalty thanks to a fantastic save from Daniel Bentley. And in terms of how the general flow of the game went, you know, the goal that Yanaris got back from Brentford sort of came against the run of play, and for the majority of the game Fulham did have a lot of chances and were a little bit wasteful with them, which is not something we've really associated with Fulham so far this season, but maybe it'll be just a bit of a blip. And even when Fulham seem to have a bit of a blip going forward, they still picked up a point from the match. And then for a team who is going into the playoffs with a fantastic sense of momentum, that is of course Sheffield Wednesday, who just seem to be rolling out the results at this point in time, and it really should lead them in for a good place going into the playoffs. This time it was Kieran Lee who managed to grab the winner after this in the 77th minute. In this game, Ipswich Town, they really weren't at their best. It was a bit of a dreary performance from them, considering it was their last home game of the season, which sort of sums up Ipswich season really. It has been a disappointing one for them, but what I'd actually be very interested to know, not just from Sheffield Wednesday fans, but with all the clubs who are currently sat in the playoffs, fans from those clubs, who do you most want to play in the playoff semi-final and who do you least want to play? Let me know down below, because I will be very interested to know as to who you guys will want to see yourselves matched up with. And then for our next game, guys, we had Leeds United 3, Norwich City 3, and oh my god, I couldn't believe this. I honestly could not believe this. At one point in this game, Norwich went ahead and went 3-0 up. This was just ridiculous, considering Leeds still really had every chance to go ahead and get into the playoffs and take it to the final day, considering that Sheffield Wednesday are playing Fulham on the last day. They just completely went ahead and bottled this. In the first half, some of the defending from Leeds was absolutely shambolic. It was embarrassing at times. Norwich were literally just walking through them. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and fair play to Norwich. You know, in the first half, they were absolutely excellent in this game. Some of their creative players really were coming to the fore forefront of it. You know, Naismith managed to get a goal, Nelson Oliveira managed to grab 2 as well, but in terms of Leeds, I couldn't believe how poor they were in the first half. Credit to them, they did come back in the second half and show a lot more spirit, and were maybe a little bit unfortunate actually not to go ahead and not get the winner in this game. I mean, Norwich's performance seriously dropped off in the second half, and the goal from Pablo Hernandez, the free kick, was absolutely exceptional as well. Definitely a contender for goal of the weekend, but in the end they just left themselves with too much to do, and now Leeds aren't going to make the playoffs, so they have well and truly bottled it this season. From looking like they're going from securing getting the playoffs a couple of weeks ago to this, I can't believe it. Leeds fans, let me know what your opinions are in the comments down below. And when I am actually recording this video, there are a couple of rumours circulating that Gary Monk's job at Leeds United could be under threat now. So Leeds fans, let me know what you think of that also down below. But honestly, I couldn't believe it. This was just a mental game. I can't believe it. And then for our next game, guys, we had Preston North End, who came up against Rotherham, and in the end this one managed to finish as a 1-1 draw. And oh my god, I don't really want to stick on this topic for too long, because Preston in this game, we really weren't good. I mean, in the first half, I've got to give a lot of credit to Rotherham. In the first half, they were the better side than we were, you know. It only was thanks to a fantastic strike from Stevie May that we actually got back into this game, you know. The goal that Rotherham scored, fair play to them, you know, small one on the half volley right into the bottom corner. A fantastic goal for him, but Preston were really poor in this game, and I was quite disappointed really, considering it was our last home game this season. We really have finished our season off on a low point really, considering some of the heights we've hit this season. It was very disappointing. I mean, Rotherham's key performance for this one, I thought that Taylor was absolutely ripping apart Tyus Browning at right back for us. He just couldn't comprehend with him. So fair play to Rotherham, because we have seen, ever since Paul Warner has come into the job at Rotherham, we have seen their performances actually lift. You know, that was seen last time out against Ipswich when they managed to get the victory. But finishing the season, what I find most baffling actually is in the last 6 games that both Rotherham and Preston have had, Rotherham have picked up more points than Preston have, which is quite worrying really from a Preston fan's perspective. But I suppose in the second half we were a little bit unlucky not to get the winner. I mean, Simon Mackinock had a chance which was cleared off the line. He then hit the crossbar as well from 2 headers, so a little bit unfortunate, but in the end we just weren't good enough. And then for our next game, guys, we have a fixture which leaves Nottingham Forest in an incredibly perilous position. Nottingham Forest, after this 2-0 defeat to QPR, are now level on points with Blackburn Rovers on 48 points, which is huge going into the final day of the season. So like I said before, guys, out of the 3 teams who are going down, let me know in the comments down below who you guys think will eventually go down and won't avoid the drop. But in this game, it was crucial that QPR went ahead and got something to ensure their safety this season in the Championship, and in the end they managed to do just that with the 2-0 victory. For this one, it was goals for Washington and Lynch which managed to secure the victory, and I don't really think too many people can have any arguments about this. In this game, QPR were the better side. Recently, we've not really seen the best out of QPR, considering when Ian Holloway first came into the job a couple of weeks after that, we really were seeing QPR playing some nice football. That's not really been too much on show recently, but going into next season, if they can have a decent transfer window, who knows what could happen. Nottingham Forest fans, are you now worried about going into the last game? Let me know down below. And then for a game which actually secured Wigan Athletic's fate into the Sky Bet League 1 for next season, we then had Reading 1, Wigan Athletic 0. And in terms of the game of the weekend, this certainly wasn't it. I mean, just in terms of real quality, really, from anywhere in the pitch, this game really was lacking it, which is quite surprising, really, considering Reading are going into the playoffs this season. This really wasn't a great performance from them. I mean, it was Jan Kermigant who got the goal for Reading after just 6 minutes. Reading I was a little bit disappointed with, considering they actually got the victory. I thought their performance dropped. Wigan is going to be League 1 football next season. Let me know what you guys thought of this one. And then for our last fixture, guys, we then had Brighton, who came up against Bristol City, and to a lot of people's surprise, I think it has to be said, Bristol City went ahead and picked up the 1-0 victory away at Brighton. So fair play to Bristol City. You know, recently we've actually been seeing some pretty decent performances from Bristol City to go ahead and end this this season, you know, it's been a really funny one for Bristol City because the way they started this season and the way they're seemingly ending this season, they've not actually been a bad side. It's just been a horrific run they went on in the middle of the season, which has really let them down. But I thought the goal that Josh Brownhill scored was absolutely fantastic. Once again, some build-up play, which we've been associating with Bristol City recently, was to come into play in this one. It was a header which topped it all off, and a fantastic goal for him in the end. But in terms of Brighton, I thought they will have been very disappointed with this one. A victory in this game would have secured them the league title for this season. That wasn't to be the case, and considering I think it was a record attendance at the Amex, they put in a really dire performance, Brighton. I mean, they only got 2 shots on target. They were quite wasteful with a lot of opportunities they had, and considering how leaky Bristol City have been at the back this season, Brighton are definitely disappointed they didn't get anything from this game. But it now leaves the title race wide open going into the last game of the season, guys. So let me know down below who will come out on top of the championship. Will it be Newcastle? Will it be Brighton? Comment down below. So guys, that will wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup, guys. So we are only going to have one more of these Championship Roundup videos come in for the rest of the season, which is just absolutely mental with all the games taking place at the weekend, guys. But now, guys, in terms of my goal of the weekend, now there are a lot of contenders for this one. There were some fantastic goals being scored. I could give it to the Pablo Hernandez goal, any of the Newcastle goals I could have gave it to, maybe the Bristol City goal, the Rotherham goal was great, but I'm going to give it to Stevie May. Stevie May against Rotherham. Is that me being a biased Preston fan? Let me know down below. Just the fact that it was his first goal for Preston, it was the first game he'd started in 18 months for Preston, and he managed to come up with an absolute peach of a finish from about 20-25 yards out. He managed to bend it into the top corner. It was a fantastic finish from him back on his return to Deepdale. So my goal of the weekend is going to go to Stevie May. And once again, guys, similar to that, my result of the weekend could go to a lot of teams who have been fantastic recently, but I'm going to give my result of the weekend to Blackburn Rovers for going ahead and beating Aston Villa 1-0. The reason I'm giving them the result of the weekend is because anything other than a victory would have seen them relegated this weekend. So the fact that they went ahead and won this game gives them every chance of survival going into the final day of the season. So to wrap up the video, guys, I will quickly go over the championship table. So as you can see on screen now, that is how the championship is currently shaping up. So it is going to be very interesting going in to the last day of the season. As we can see there, the 3 clubs which could still go down are Blackburn Rovers, Nottingham Forest and Birmingham. So very interesting to know what you guys have to say about that. The playoffs are now pretty much secured. I mean, it would take Leeds to win like 13-0 if they're going to get into the playoffs, which just won't happen. So they're the teams which will be making up the top 6. Who's going to win the title? Let me know down below. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for regular championship content. But apart from that, I'll see you all in the next one.